American book. I like watching like Iron Chef. I like watching American about the biker shows, or biker build. So I'm like, I like watching these, and I don't have to be part of it, but I'm a fan. Oh, that's what. But then we have fire, we have sparks, we have kill tests, we have weapons. I'm like, okay, I can see where this show could be something good, but I never thought it would be a family show, and that's the blessing. I didn't realize that till I think the third season. So the first season I was doing stuff, I got so excited to cut stuff. Now I was born and raised in the Philippines. I came when I was 18. So I have an accent, and I try to hide it. But sometimes when I'm cutting, I go, it will kill. It came out, right? And I thought they'll cut it out, or like whatever. And people, oh, it's the it will kill guy. So I'm like, I was laughing. And the second season, I'm like, I'm not going to make that mistake again. It'll kill. It'll kill. So sometimes it'll kill. I changed it. And then our producer saying, say it, because people like it. I'm like, oh, it will kill. I would not do it. And because it became a catchphrase, I didn't know later on it was a family show. I can glorify the word kill, but I can change it to heal, K-E-A-L. Keep everyone alive. And that's why I spell it kill. Yes, I know how to spell kill properly, but I go with the K-E-A-L because it's a more responsible way of saying it. The thing there is it follows my martial art. It's not about how many you hurt, it's about how many you can protect. That's a responsible way of looking at weapons. The weapons are not bad. Oh, that's so dangerous. It's just sitting there eating watermelon right now. How dangerous is that? It all depends on who's going to pick it up and use it, right? That's why these laws that they have, oh my God, they're blaming the weapon. No, take responsibility for who wields it, who touches it, not the weapon or the tool. Because in the end, we are the weapon. Everything is the tool. Questions? Hi, y'all.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Whenever y'all are deliberating as judges, how often is it like a 2/3, or is it a lot of across the board?
Yes. So the question is, when we deliberate as judges, are we always on the same line of thinking, right? No. A lot of it is that's why we have three. It's always three, and for the most part, we do agree because we start to learn from each other. The first season, it also got almost heated a couple of times. You know, I'm like, what? I'm like, you're not even for combat. When you're like, what's broken is, so they're talking from a placeless point of view. If it's gonna break, when it breaks, I'll still fight with you. That's what happens in combat. Well, if it bends, I'll still fight. But I'm coming from an end user. Hey, God, it's not about fighting. This is a competition. It's about the quality of the blade. We have to find someone who wins. I had to learn that and hone my ideas, and then I started learning from them about the quality of the blade. It's a competition. When we test it, it has to be even and equal. It's a competition. This is not how you make knives. So I had to become a judge instead of a martial artist. And even the way I was cutting, right? I wanted to do all this, and like, well, number one, the dummies like George there, they don't fight back. So why am I doing martial art moves for? I should be able to cut and replicate every cut the same way to be a fair judge. So we learn from each other. And I think by season 4, we kind of understood. I agreed on each other because once we know each other's point, they also knew my point. My point is, this is great, but what is it used for? Oh, it's a weapon. It's so heavy. It's a one-shot deal. You're dead, you know? So I'd rather be able to move it multiple times. When you look at the history book, so they understood what I meant by that. So once we got comfortable and understood each other, we all knew how, and pretty much we're always on the ball. The couple of times that it was subjective, that was interesting. Why are you going with that? So we had to all argue our points. And eventually we just flip a coin. No. We'd argue our points, but then after a while we're like, yeah, I guess I can see your point. So we're always putting our 2 cents in there, and then we judge. And then you can sway that. You know who's master manipulator? Will. Oh my gosh, Will is number one. Will is special forces. I mean, he was Ranger Battalion, and then he was a pararescue for the Air Force. Now, Ranger Battalion, well, leading the way, but then Air Force, pararescue. That's even harder because you have to know medical and you have to know how to use everything. But they never get called upon, so they get angry with that. But Will has this photographic memory. He can look at something, he'll know it. He is one of the most genius, and I will never get into an argument with him because he is so smart. He'll like, Doug, you don't know. I don't know. He does a Jedi mind trick on me all the time. But Will also likes to stir fun. He's like, all right, you have to say, okay, let me put this in. Now, and then he does the Jedi mind. You're like, you're right. Oh no, I changed my mind. He's that good. But we learn. It's a lot of fun. Other questions? What do we do with all the meat that we cut up? Common question? Right. So, first season, some of the crew took some home, but then because we're handling it, we didn't have a refrigerator. It goes cold, so we don't touch it. We wanted to donate it, but in New York, where we were filming, you can't also be handling meat. So we had to find a way not to waste the meat. So we found NewYorkWolf.org, which is it's an organization that takes care of the gray wolf and endangered wolves. So they come and get all the meat, all the fish that we use and everything else, and they feed it. A fun fact, though, is that there was one season where they came to us and said, hey, do you mind doing more ballistic dummies? I go, why? Because our wolves are getting fat. So we're overfeeding them. They go, can you get leaner meats or something? Now, another thing, we never slaughter any animals to be used on the show. Our production team goes out there and they go to areas where they're already slaughtered as carcasses. We don't have anyone specially made for them. What else? I got a question for you. Who's your favorite judge? All right, there's no right answer. Yes, sir.
First couple seasons, you had guys passing out from the heated forge. I don't see it now. You guys cool it down?
Yeah, so the question was, first couple of seasons, we had people passing out of the forges, and that's happening more. Yes, that's what happened. We learned. We saying, because we were going, remember, first couple of seasons, there's no other show like this. We're going to have, and it was interesting, we had an outdoor challenge, right? It was raining, so we waited till it was clear day. And it turned out today that we're filming, it was so hot, and people just couldn't handle the heat. Also, the way we have the forges, it's set up in such a way that, because of camera angles, the way we have the gas tanks coming in, it's set up so we always don't stand in front of it. But it's so hot because you have 4 forges going on. So we always have fans going. We always tell them now, step away from the heat. We used to check. We always watch how much they're sweating, because in the beginning, a lot of them didn't hydrate. They didn't realize that in the competition, if you're not fit, that's why Ben kept running. He wanted to know how to do this, and you always know that if you're not doing anything, stand in front of the fan. We have air conditioning running in there. Now we as judges, we're far away enough to where it doesn't. Well, it's still hot, so I can imagine how much hotter it is in there. So yeah. That's one of the things we always tell them. And we do have paramedics on scene all the time, and we're constantly checking. Fun fact, one particular, now here's what happens also. We also know that in competition, if you can't figure it out, you start to say, I'm hurt, I can't take it, just so that you can bow out. We figured out some people that way too. Doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen. But there was one particular contestant that wasn't feeling well, and that's what we check. We check everything, right? And you gotta remember, Will is a pararescue. I used to be a respiratory therapist, so we work emergency medicine, we know all that. So we can watch and gauge, right? But this person was not feeling well, but he wasn't doing well either. So we figured, he's probably gonna, self-eliminate himself. But no, they took him to the hospital, just checked his vital signs, and he had a heart blockage. And he already had 2 stents to begin with. He didn't know about the third one. So had he not competed, the doctor said over there, you'd be dead. It's a good thing you competed, and we found that out. So Forging the Fire actually saved the life.
Hey, Doug, what's the wisest thing you've ever heard?
That fight keeps everyone alive. Yes, sir.
Oh. Maybe.
All right, the question. He used to work in a wound center. How many accidental cuts do we have in a normal season? Every show.
Every show.
And all you have to do is ask every bladesmith that's out there. They get cut. I mean, we should invest in stocks with Band-Aids. And that's why we're there all the time with simple cuts because they're in a hurry. And a lot of bladesmiths like this. No, I'm fine. Like, no, you're not sharing your fluids with us. So we make sure that every cut is there. And there was a time, I'd say all the time. Serious cuts, none. We're lucky. Here in Arkansas, my first time, I got a serious cut. How did that happen? It's called complacency. So in the show, we have protocols. And the protocols were created because it's always about safety first. And we have, like, I cannot touch the weapon unless we all 3 people have to approve before I can approach the weapon. That's how serious we take the show. My first James Black Heritage Festival, it was amazing. It was a very hot day though. I was supposed to do a meet and greet for 1 hour. It turned into 4 hours. Why? I didn't realize so many people drove in for that first time. So I sat there, and as long as I saw the line that long, I'll sit here and I'll stay out here in the heat with you until it's done. Problem was, when 5 o'clock came, or 4:30, you have to do a cutting test. So here I'm looking at the line, and in the line there's some kids, right? And they're standing in the heat with the water. Like, I'll be right back. I rushed it. I went out there, I go, give it a second, I gotta get back to them. So I do first cut, no problem. Let's get fancy. I'm a showman over here. So now I pick up another sword that I've never picked up before. So the balance is off. And then I do something fancy, and I cut myself. So what did I do? I did not respect the sword. I did not follow my protocols. I should have walked through everything, and you never change what you're about to do and change the game plan. Because a sword is a weapon, and a weapon is no different than thinking of it as a firearm. You don't just wave it and cut around. You have to respect it because it's made for one reason. Yes, sir.
How long do you practice before you?
Oh, yes. So question, how long do I practice? So the day of testing is when we come in. I cannot touch the contestant swords, but we have our hero sample. So I will take the hero sample, which Dave makes, or James made the first piece, and I would practice for camera angles of what we're gonna do, so that I can replicate the same test. So I'm gonna cut here first, and come around here, I'm gonna spin cut for this one here and go for another one. Then I run it through my head. I go through that with my director, and we go through the whole thing so that the camera is set up. We know that if anything happens, nobody's behind the camera. This is where all the fails is. So we practice a dry run. Then we do an actual cutting test for ourselves. Why? I need to know the results of the cuts based on our weapons so that we don't expect, the test to be like, oh, well, I did it with it. We have an idea of what it's supposed to do, a good blade is supposed to do. When I actually go to pick up the weapon, it's the first time. That's dangerous. But that's why they hired me, because I can replicate. I can do that. I've done this a lot of times. So when I'm doing that, so I know that when I'm cutting this way, if it breaks, I know that the line, the follow through is a certain way. If I cut where I'm going to step, the bladesmiths are over there. If there's any mishaps, it doesn't go toward them. But that's the hardest part and the scariest part for me, because I don't know we don't watch how it's made either. Now, we have to be fair. So we don't, what happens in the forge, we never get to find out. That way, there's no gaming. We are bound by rules for the show. So, yes, every time I pick it up for the first time, I'm worried. I'm like, okay, let's see. And at the same time, I've also denied testing some weapons. Why? For the sake of the show, it's detrimental for me to test it. If we know it's going to break, like we know there are cracks, and we don't know, but we can start, there's a crack in this. Right, so we're very careful. But if I know there's something wrong with the weapon, what do? I hold back. If I hold back because your weapon's not well made, that's not fair. That's not fair to the next guy. Because I go crazy with his weapon because I trust it, and this one, I might break, I'm going to hold back. Not fair. So there are certain ways that we have to do. Once again, when we talk about it, if you don't make parameters also, we're not going to test your blade, period. Because that's not fair. These guys, I don't care if this blade was not as beautiful as this one, but he made parameters. If you don't make parameters, you will not be tested. It's right there. A lot of people question what's going on. You gotta remember, they signed the contract, and we go through it like everything. And we always tell them, do you understand and we have it on video, because a lot of people will say, oh, no, I said, yeah, I didn't understand. No, they're given a drawing of what's expected with the parameters. They just forget to check. That's what happens. But, you know, in the heat of competition, a lot of things go on. So it's hard. It's not easy. All right. Well, folks, I just want to fill the time here because you're all enjoying your lunch. I'm going to do a little break and enjoy my lunch. So thank you very much. At 1:30, Jay, myself, and the talents were going to be at the JPS school for also another demonstration and another talk. So I may repeat myself, but there's a lot of good stuff going on over there too at the JPS. Thank you.
Thanks.